Alright, good morning guys. I'm going to start our lesson on percent proportion, but I do want to warn you, I've got the baby with me, so if I have to stop, just bear with me for a little bit because he might get a little bit fussy. Right now he's sleeping, so I just want to give you that warning in case you hear him. Okay, so today we're working on percent proportion. It takes up 2 pages. Pages 53 and 54. We are in unit 4, so it's a big 4. Our topic is percent proportion. Percent proportion. Okay, so on 53, you should get a page that looks like this, and I've cut it in half, and this is what goes on page 53. So we're going to glue that in. Remember my page number 53 down at the bottom. At the top, we're going to write percent proportion. Then on page 54, page 54. Alright, and good news is this is the second half of this unit, so we do get our calculators back. So I'm going to have my calculator next to me. You can do these without a calculator, but we're not really testing your ability if you can multiply and divide. We are testing can you work out and find the percents of numbers. Okay, so this is just an example problem, and it goes through and very detailed shows us what we are doing. So the first thing we want to do is, you see it's is or part over of or whole equals percent over 100. The part and the whole will refer to whenever we're doing word problems. Right now, I want you to really focus on is over of equals percent over 100. I want you to memorize that. I will say it 1,000 times. Is over of equals percent over 100. So what does that mean? Here is my sentence. It says, what is 30% of 60? Okay, so if I memorize this, is over of equals percent over 100, I have 3 missing numbers. My is, my of, and my percentage. The very first thing I want to do is see, do I have a percent sign? Yes, I have a percent sign. So I know that this number goes to my percent, and the percent goes over 100. So you can see here they've put 30 over 100. Then my second number that I'm looking at, I want to see, is it closer to the word is or is it closer to the word of? Well, it's closer to the word of. So 60 belongs to of. Well, you can see in the example, they have put 60 in place of where of is. So our n, our unknown, we're going to write that to the side. N is a variable. Okay, that's your technical term. But it is your unknown number. Okay, so variable is the technical term. It's your 5-star word, your word that you want to use on a K-Prep ERQ. But what it really means is it's the number that we don't know. It's the number that we're trying to solve for. Okay, so there's one number that we're looking for, and what we have to do is we have to first cross multiply. Okay, so this is where we cross multiply. So you can see they've put these dotted lines around 30 and 60 and n and 100. I draw arrows. I connect my 30 with my 60 and my n with my 100. I just called this my big X. It also helps me remember that I'm multiplying 30 times 60, which you can see they've done right there, and n times 100, which you can see that they've done right there. So then they've written it out again. 30 times 60 equals 100 times n. Well, anytime you multiply a number and a variable, you just put them side by side. Okay, a number and a variable side by side means that they're being multiplied. Okay, that's just a little rhyme that you can remember. Okay, so then they've multiplied 60 and 30, and that gave them 1,800 equals 100n. So now we still have to solve for n. N is our variable. It's our unknown. We want to find out what it is. Well, right now, 100 and n are being multiplied together. Remember, a number and a letter side by side means they're being multiplied. So in order to get n all by itself, I want to do the inverse operation. The inverse of multiplication is division, and that's what they're doing. They've taken this line, which means to divide, and they've divided it by 100. That would get rid of my 100. This 100 would cross out with this 100 and leave me with just n. Now, the laws of solving equations say that anything you do on one side of the equal sign, you have to do on the other side of the equal sign. So 1,800 divided by 100 would give us 18. Okay, so our answer is 18. Okay, now that might have been a little bit confusing, so let's work out a couple so that we can see how it's really done. Okay, our first example says 128 is what percent of 640? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to write is over of equals percent over 100. Then I want to look for a percentage. Do I see a percent in here? No. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the percentage. So when I rewrite is over of equals percent over 100, I know that there is no percent, so n is going to go over 100. Then I need to figure out what number goes with is, what number goes with of. Well, right here is 128, Is it closer to is or of? Well, of course, it's closer to is. Is right next to it. So is going to go on the top. Oh, I'm sorry, 128 is going to go on top. Then 640 is closer to of. So it goes on the bottom. Okay, so now that we've got it set up, all we have to do is cross multiply, then divide. So I'm going to draw my x. N times 640 is 640 N. Bring down my equal sign. 128 times 100 is 12,800. Then I want to solve for n. I want to get n all by itself. So I'm going to divide by whatever is in front of n. So I'm dividing by 640. And what I do on one side, I have to do on the other. Okay, so this 640 and this 640, they eliminate each other and leaves me with just n on the left side. Then on the right, I'm going to take 12,800 and divide it by 640, and that gives me 20. So now I know, when I'm looking at my question, 128 is what percent of 640? 128 is 20% of 640. So my answer is 20%. Okay, next. 19 is 10% of what number? Okay, writing it again. Is over of equals percent over 100. I want to keep writing that until it gets stuck in my head. Then I just go over to the side. Something over something equals something over 100. Now I fill in the blanks. The first thing I'm looking for is my percent. I see my percent sign right there. It's a 10. So my 10 goes over 100. My other number is 19. 19, is it closer to is or of? Well, it's closer to is. So 19 goes on top. We don't know our of, that's what we're looking for, so we're going to put in. It's our unknown number. Then we cross multiply. So big X (10) times n is 10n. Bring down your equal sign. 19 times 100 is 1,900. My goal is to figure out what n is. So right now 10 and n are being multiplied. I need to divide by 10. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Oops, I wrote 100. I'm going to erase that real quick. So this 10 and this 10 eliminate each other and leave me with n equals 1,900 divided by 10 is 190. So 19 is 10% of what number? 19 is 10% of 190. So our answer is 190. Okay. Next, what is 10 6/10% of 11? Okay, start out. Is over of equals percent over 100. Okay, so I'm writing blank over blank equals blank over 100. I see that I have a percent sign, so I know that goes over my 100. 10.6. 11, is it closer to is or of? It's closest to of. So 11 goes on the bottom. My unknown variable is. Now we cross multiply, so big X. I'm going to use my calculator. 10.6 times 11 equals 116.6. N times 100 is 100N. I need to get N all by itself, so I'm going to divide by 100. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other, so I'm dividing by 100. These 100s eliminate each other, so on the right side I can say equals N. Then on the left side, 116.6 divided by 100 is 1 and 166 thousandths. So what is 10.6% of 11? 1.166 is 10.6% of 11. So our answer, 1.166, or 1 and 166 thousandths. Okay. So most of our practice will look like this today on Go Formative, and that's what we're going to focus on. Tomorrow we'll focus more on word problems, but let's try one just so we can see what we're working with. Trevor received a score of 96% on his math test. If he answered 24 of the questions correctly, how many questions were on the test? Okay, so we were talking about is over of equals percent over 100. But we said when we did word problems, okay, back here, we said when we did word problems, we would focus on part over whole equals percent over 100. So anytime you have a word problem, it's part over whole equals percent over 100. Okay, so then I have to figure out, I can see automatically that 96 has a percent behind it. So I'm going to write blank over blank equals blank over 100, just like I did before. 96%, 96 has the percent sign, so I'm going to put that over 100. Then I have to figure out, is 24 part or is 24 whole? So let's reread our question. If he answered 24 of the questions correctly, how many questions were on the test? Okay, so I know he didn't make a perfect 100%. He made a 96. So 24 couldn't be the whole amount of questions because that would mean if he answered 24 out of 24 correct, then that would mean he made a 100. He answered 24 correct, so that gave him the 96. So we put 24 as our part. You can also see that it's kind of parallel. 24 is to 96 as what is to 100. Okay, so tops and bottoms. We're looking for our bottom. So then we cross multiply just like we have been doing. 96 times n is 96n. Bring down your equal sign. 24 times 100 is 2400 or 2400. We're getting n all by itself, so we've got to divide by whatever is in front of n. And what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. These 96's eliminate each other and leaves us with just n equals. And we have 2400 divided by 96, and that gives us 25. So again, looking at our question, if he answered 24 of the questions correctly, how many questions were on the test? There were 25 questions.